At first I was afraid, I was petrified, thinking of expatriation or even suicide. But after spending numbing nights thinking of all you could do wrong, I grew strong. So I thought I'd write a song. I wish you'd go to outer space. You could fly with Elon Musk, meet him at the SpaceX base. Wish we had changed deluded minds, so this would never be. But now you're heading for the White House and you're back to bother me. I thought we'd shown you out the door. I hoped that we were rid of you and wouldn't see you anymore. You hurt with all the lies you tell and awful things you do. I used to like the color orange. Now it makes me think of you through all your jive. I will survive. Despite the harm you will be doing, I know I'll stay alive. They say that when it's darkest, that's when you see the stars. I wish you had a front row seat for that by rocketing to Mars, but I'll survive. And we will survive. It's taking all my strength not to fall apart. I try with all my might to mend my broken heart. And if you die in office, we still don't have a chance, then we'll have Vance. What a lousy circumstance, but we will not abandon hope. By protesting awful policies, we know that we can cope. I remember how exhausted we were last time you held office. It's a crime that we must go back to that time, but you are back, you misanthrope. We can't just sit and watch democracy go up in smoke. Guess we'll all roll up our sleeves, guess we'll be out in the streets, and we'll survive. We will survive, I'm certain we will survive. We will figure out a way to counteract your lies. We won't let you steal our joy or rob us of our pride, so we will thrive. Keep hope alive, we will survive.
How fantastic. Does everyone want to unmute and give her a big round of hoots and hollers?
Yay.
Thank you, Carol.
Betsy, turn on your video if you can.
Sure.
So does anybody up for seceding from the Union with the Washington and Oregon, call us the Pacific States of America?
They deep bomb us.
Oh, God.
Well, we would be joining a great many MAGA people.
Uh-huh.
Also,
We have the Gulf of America now.
I think it was Jeffersonia was the name for those who wanted to secede up in that area. Anyway, hey, welcome everybody. We have some people who are only here for a half hour, and some who will be joining us a little later. Our two speakers have not yet joined us. So I'm Betsy Morris, co-convener with Carol Crooks. And welcome to our first public speaker meeting and member meeting of 2025. Carol, do you
I keep thinking it's 2024. Yeah.
Time marches on, doesn't
That
it?
year was bad enough.
Well, apparently on February 28th, 7 of the planets are going to be in alignment. It's a rare astronomical.
Yeah, that's very rare.
Yeah.
That's in 3 years.
No, on February 28th.
February.
Oh, I'm sorry. I heard 2028.
Oh,
you know?
no. So in 1 month.
All right. Well, that will be pretty amazing.
It's the opportunity to say, stop the world, I want to get off. And hop
Yes,
over.
that's a great idea.
Well, Carol, jump in and help here, but I will just say that the first, we'll have 15 minutes to half an hour, a little co-convener report, but for, of activities that then, we may or may not be continuing in this year. That was on the agenda, as well as just announcements. So if anyone, and then our speakers will come on and
Hene is here.
oh, hello, Hene, welcome. We're kind of introducing and saying hello. Hene is one of our speakers today. Rains, would you, for yourself, pull up the intros to our speakers that you created so nicely? And then we'll bring them on.
You created them. I'm just copying and pasted.
You put pictures on them. Okay. Very quickly, Hene, I don't see you. Maybe we should switch.
She's there now.
Okay, and Norma's here. Maria is on. Caitlin Duffy, you're a newcomer. To me, at least. Do you want to say just a few words about who you are, where you are, and why you came today? Hello. Now, is Caitlin Duffy?
Rather just listen, thank you.
Okay, well, thanks for coming. And we'll hopefully get to know you at another time, or maybe through the discussion. Thanks. I'm still thinking we usually have okay, let me just say welcome, and Hene, at least you will get to hear this very hopefully small report. And there's a lot of announcements that came through our emails, Carol and my emails, but some of those people will be here to speak those themselves as announcements. Robert McGarrion, welcome. Hi, Robert, our treasurer. So is someone else checking the chats? Two things. We will record this. In fact, it's recording now. We do need and always appreciate someone who will take highlights. We're not making decisions today, but we do need a secretary, someone who feels comfortable and reliably, just for today, of writing down highlights that might go out to those who are not here today. Okay, that's just kind of business. I'm Betsy Morris, co-convener with Carol Crooks of the East Bay Gray Panthers. We have, and this is our first monthly meeting of 2025. I wanted to share the names of the groups that we as a board and membership have formally joined. So these are all of our alliance partners or solidarity partners. And various of us are regular attenders and participants with these groups. First, of course, is CARA, you'll be hearing more from today. CARA, East Bay Gray Panthers has been a member for long before I joined in 2017. So we'll hear more about the California Alliance of Retired Americans and our work with them and their work, larger work, from our guest speakers later. The second one I wanted to bring up is we are, or at least several of us are members of the Berkeley NAACP. So we occasionally bring announcements or have NAACP officers announce things. Today, I'm not sure if we have an announcement, but Carol might wish to deliver on that. We have historically been a member of the National Alliance of HUD tenants, but we haven't been involved for the last 2 years. Our active liaisons passed on. I'm sorry, who was that?
Background noise, don't worry about it.
Okay. Oh, you're in yeah, okay. The Long-Term Supports and Services for All Coalition is a statewide coalition. A number of us have been involved in that. And but the last year, we were working very hard on the master plan on aging and the effort to get an insurance benefit into the state law, into state law. But that program has sort of got delayed by the budget cuts this last year. But I did want to send, it's a wonderful coalition with monthly and sometimes twice a month calls with especially people in Southern California, like Caring Across Generations, the Filipino Workers Center. It's a very multicultural group, and it has both the domestic employers network and the domestic workers union, and the IHSS workers union here in Alameda County, where are all members, and we've been doing, and I don't know what the coming year will bring, but I wanted to just read this short text, actually.
What's the name of the coalition, Betsy?
So this is LTSS for All Coalition, Grassroots Network. It's Grassroots Coalition, it's called. And we testify up in Sacramento. We occasionally visit legislators, as does CARA, of course. But just this is a group I'd love to have more members who would like to be a liaison. Anyway, I wanted to read this very touching message from one of the founders of LTSS for All, the Hand in Hand Domestic Employers Network. As soon as I can find where I put it off. Let's see, there we go. And in hand. It's, I thought it was there. Well, let me just pause on that till I can find it later. It was a very touching remark about how, especially for a number of members of our coalition, the immigration raids, the immigration vendetta, immigrant vendettas is causing a lot of fear and distress among caregivers, obviously, who many of us and other members of LTSS Coalition depend on. And they are also members and family members of migrants with or without their documentation. So just let's hold a moment of peace and solidarity and support, compassion, and action. I'm hoping later we'll hear from people who are active, for whom that's like a primary concern. So if members have that as a primary area of action, let's talk about that later in the meeting. We are also members now, this is East Bay Gray Panthers, of Tenants Together, which is the largest tenants. It's both tenant unions, tenant associations, tenant lawyers, legal services, and political action groups. CARA is also a member, I think, of Tenants Together. And an even broader alliance. They're not short-term coalitions, where we just get together for a particular bill, one bill. They're long-term coalitions with Tenants Together and Housing Now, ! Which is really brings together all of those groups out of Tenants Together, and also in the social housing movement, which is the work we need to create a stock of permanently affordable housing that's managed and fairly that recognizes the rights of tenants. It's a bigger movement that we've had several meetings on last year, and that Housing Now is the state lead on some of that work. We're also briefly also in the past have reported on the Homeless Action Working Group of Oakland and the Alliance of Landless People, which is a group we co-founded with the Meiklejohn Institute of Civil Liberties and the First They Came for the Homeless, and a number of encampments that are set up to be intentional communities in some way or another. So I will, and finally, we have this last year, we signed a memo of understanding for a project called Community Voices Matter. And we'll have Maria make a short introduction. Maria, do you want to just give that? Because that's a very, we have like, it's local to Berkeley. Two of us are on the community advisory committee, but a number of us have been involved in the work, which, Maria, do you want to share?
First, Betsy, have you double checked with our speaker to her timing?
I can do this
Hene-
very briefly. It's up to
Yeah,
you.
Hene, we will get right to you because I know there were two different times. One was 1:45 and one was 2. Okay, we'll just pause here. So yeah, Maria.
Yeah. So this February 1st, from 10 till noon at the South Berkeley Senior Center, it's an opportunity to participate in this really dynamic, boots on the ground, amazingly informative, proactive coalition that the Ecology Center is guiding with the direct purpose of impacting the city of Berkeley. So it's not just a let's get together, and not to underestimate this, it's not just a gathering of folk in common cause, but there's actual stuff that we're committed to do that will be presented to the city of Berkeley in such a way that obviously they are going to act on it, because we are about shaping the future of disaster preparedness and environmental justice, being a prepared, safe, and healthy Berkeley. So once again, at the South Berkeley Senior Center from 10 until 12:30 on Saturday, February 1st. It's a community workshop to share ideas and participate in interactive mapping, which discovers what our resources are and what our needs are, so that perhaps we can actually put the wheels on the car and gas in the tank and get somewhere. All right, that's it.
Thanks, Maria.
Yep.
If anyone's interested, I'm getting a little private. There will be an online and in-person possibilities for folks who can't make the workshops, but are specific to Gray Panthers. Our place in this community advisory committee, which has 5 groups, is really to make sure that our members, our constituents, our friends and loved ones and neighbors who we know might be isolated or without internet or without vehicles or have a disability or condition that means they're not going to go out to public workshops, and they're isolated in such a way that they wouldn't necessarily know what to do in the case of an earthquake, major fires, or floods. So I'm calling on all of our members and allies and people who are here who live in Berkeley and might have relationships with people whose voices might not often be heard in disaster planning. So, or especially in the flatlands. Most of our previous city safety plan, disaster and emergency preparedness plan, covered earthquakes up in the hills. And of course, there's a lot of seniors living up there, but that is not the only people we need to be concerned about. So I'm going to go ranting on about this. Forgive me. If you're interested in this, make sure to keep in touch, get a call, and we'll update you about other events. And Maria, thank you. The other groups, by the way, are Healthy Black Families, the Multicultural Institute, which works with undocumented workers, mostly Spanish speaking. What's the other one? The Berkeley Food Network.
Yeah, and CIL, Center
And
for
community, yeah, Center Thank you. Center for Independent Living. So we're in very good company. And thank you. Thank you, Maria. Okay, that was a long announcement. Is there anyone else who needs to make their announcement briefer than I did? Before we start with ours?
We'll have more announcement time afterwards. I
Yes,
see
yes.
Carol's in.
Okay.
What about Carol? Did you want to
He
speak?
said we'd have more announcement time afterwards, which is correct.
Okay. And how about Christy? Christy is a new board member, along with Miss Cecilia, who will be joining us a little later. And Christy is involved in several projects that she's shared with us at various socials, but not with one of our member meetings, I don't think. Is there one of your projects, Christy, that you want to highlight for us getting involved?
Sure. Made
will-
for,
Go
can
ahead.
you hear me okay? Made for 25. How's that for a simplistic description of what I'm, so medical aid and dying for people aged 25 and older in the city of Berkeley.
And this is something we'll be discussing at our board meeting, where we take up endorsements and new alliances. So, and I think you said, Christy, you've already met with the mayor and spoke with her senior aide about this and received some interest in learning more. So
Actually,
this is the mayor of
Dina's
Berkeley.
getting someone on her team to craft the medical aid and dying initiative I proposed into an item that's suitable for the city council
Wow.
very soon. So within a couple weeks, I should have an update on that.
Wow. And Christy's been working on this for several years at least.
Actually, over a decade.
Thank you. Yeah. All right. Carol and Rains, do we have any hands up or chat that I should be acknowledging at this point?
I'll just mention the link for the video. It's in the chat, and we'll include that on the
Okay.
website.
Okay. So do you want to say what the video was for those who've just joined us?
The music video, Mally, I Will Survive.
Okay. Maybe we'll play it again at the end. Okay. So have we, thank you, everybody. Hene, I know you're here, and is Rob England here as well yet? Oh, you need to unmute. You're muted, Hene. Oh, she knows she's muted. I do not lip read.
Hello, do you have me now?
Yes.
All
I
right,
know people who lip read. I just can't.
excuse me. I need to get the link, which was sent wrong, from the other person who sends the link to my co-person, because he does not have the right link.
And did you forward my message?
I cannot forward it now when I'm on
Okay.
the phone.
What's his email? I'll throw it in.
Lord. You know, we'll do it without him. It doesn't, there's
No, I don't want to leave him. Let me take care of it.
Would you please, because you sent the wrong link
Oh,
and I
my
had to get
goodness.
it from your friend here, and that's how I got on. But I did not seem to, when I got it, I didn't send it to him, and so he does not have it.
Okay.
But let me just introduce myself, okay? My name is Hene Kelly, and I am a member of California Alliance for Retired Americans. I've been with them for about 20 years. I am have been a teacher for many, many years. I have been on the Labor Council of the San Francisco Labor Council since 1971. I am their Sergeant at Arms. I am a California Federation of Teachers, member of the board of CARA, and that's how I got interested in them, through my union. And it's kind of an exciting thing, because if you are a retired union member, you can be a member of CARA, because we and a member through California Federation of Teachers, or through the California Teachers Association, because we pay our dues to CARA, and that makes you a member if you want to be. So it's one of those really nice things. We have over 200, well, we have over 300 organizations that are part of CARA, and we try to work with all of them, and we do a lot of things that you do, but we do other things. And that's the one thing I like about CARA. The first thing we do is work with all our new members to give them their voice. And we go through a training to train them how to speak, and how to write letters, and also how to talk to legislators. There's usually a training every year, and in that cohort we have between 20 and 40 different people from different organizations come in and go through the training, and it's a very good training. And so we can do that for your group or any other group who wants to have that training. Also, what we do is we have different groups in CARA, and there are, I think, 18 of them throughout the different counties, and each of them is called a CAT, CARA Action Team. And so we work in San Francisco. We are working with the San Francisco legislators, and we're working with other organizations in San Francisco on things that go on in San Francisco, like you might be doing in Berkeley or any other city where you are from. But we also work with the state legislature, and I am the person who is the head of this group, the legislation group. We have 5 people who are active workers and are leaders, and then we have a meeting every month to go over state and federal legislation. At this point, the members that come from all over the state, because we do it online and also in person, we have 50 members at least that come from all over the state. So that's really nice. And if any of you are interested in legislation, you can always join us and go over it. What we do is we look at all of the legislation, we talk to all of our other partners, and ask them if there is any legislation that's important to them. Now, when we talk about legislation, an awful lot of it has to do with seniors, affordable housing, ADA, Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security, and pensions. So that's some things that I think many of you are interested in. We look at the changes in legislation, what is coming up, and then we basically have people look at that legislation, find what it's about. If there are any fact sheets on that, we come together with that and we decide whether we will be for it or against it, or just looking at it and trying to, see what it has to do with us. And the most important thing is to find the most important legislation for our members. And I'm not just talking about the members of just CARA, but the important things for all of the groups that we are aligned with, that are part of CARA. And then we find the ones that are the most important. And let me tell you, we don't always try to find something that we want to vote for. Sometimes we try to find something we will want to vote against, that we want to stop. Sometimes it's more important to block a bad bill than it is to back a good bill. In many instances, we have also come up with a bill of our own, shopped it around, found a senator or an assembly person to back that bill, and then we follow it all the way through to hopefully the governor signing it. So that's the way we do it. And we have a kind of a template for writing a letter. We have a member go over what should be in the letter. It is sent to me, and then we put it together with the template and we send it out. And we also talk to the legislative staff. We talk to the legislators of all of the things that we put on our main, the let's say 5 to 10 different bills. And it is important to understand, though, that we don't take bills on everything. We take bills on what at the CARA convention, what we vote on as our top priorities. We have 10 priorities that people vote on, and then we also always have Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security as our top priorities. So that's just the way we do it. We also have a lobbyistry part of our legislative team, and that is people that go monthly to and maybe sometimes twice a month to Sacramento and speak to people about our bills. We then have a lobby day, and lately the lobby days have all been virtual, which really is very good because we can have people who live in the area and who can talk to their own people, their own senator and their own assembly person, and talk as constituents, and talk to them. So we do it on one day, and we usually have in the 120 people who are in legislation, we talk to over 100 in one day, and we talk to them about our priority bills. So have any questions about legislation, or if you're interested in legislation, what you can do about it?
just Hene, just to know that we report pretty regularly and send referrals to our members, to about 600 people.
Mhm.
Oh, they're not all members.
But there are people that care.
What I want to share is your fierceness when you're talking to in CARA meetings about legislation, and maybe you could say a few words before we dive into any details about, you know, your passion, about what motivates you to have been part of CARA for 20 years and what you're hoping, you know, what's a victory and what's a disappointment that you're hoping will move. And then we'll get on to, and I just want to say Rob England is also here. He's the new executive director. He'll be speaking later. Thanks.
Okay. Well, you know, I'm passionate about legislation, and I'm also passionate about the thing that the people who are in office are not the ones that are telling us what to do. We are the ones telling them what to do. Remember, we voted. And sometimes we didn't vote for those people, but once they're in office, they are our servants. We are the people who tell them what they must do. And that's the way CARA does it. We go to them, we talk to them, we tell them what is important, why it's important. We bring people with stories that explain to them why this legislation is bad or this legislation is good, and why they should vote for it or why they should vote against it. Whether they should be the person that leads the legislation, we tell them it is our right. And basically, I look at it that way. They are our servants. We aren't their servants. We don't do what they tell us to do. They do what we ask them to do. And that's the way we run our legislative team. So we will go in and fight and fight and fight till we get them to hear us.
What's an issue? What's an issue that you fought for CARA members, for seniors throughout the state? What's an issue that we won that you're proud of?
That we won. Let me go to something that happened years ago that was probably one of the most wonderful wins we've ever had. And it was such a simple thing. We wanted you have a pharmacy, and they send out your pills. And on the pills, it explains what to do. So we had a bill at first to make the things in a larger font so that seniors could read it. Okay? We had that. That was extremely important. And we also wanted them to have their language included with their pills, either on a sheet of paper explaining it, or on the pill, on the little thing that had the pills in it. This is what we wanted. This was a simple thing, so that we could have our pills with things that could be read. See how big that is? That you could possibly read, right? And so we finally got it passed. I mean, it took us 2-3 years to get that passed to the right font. And it took us a lot longer to get it where they had it in their language. Because if you are a Latino and you have a caregiver, and that person also is a Latino, and you say, take these pills once a day, it sounds to them like take the pills 11 times a day if you read Spanish. Once is not one. And we finally got that where all of those things were done. And we had to go back and forth and back and forth for like 3 years talking to the bill was passed, but we could not get it really done. So after the bill was passed and everything, we still had to get the pharmacies to do it the right way. And we did it. We went around and they said this was too expensive to do this. And we proved them wrong. We showed them what it would cost. The other thing we did with pills is when you stop taking the pills, you should have a place to take them so they can be destroyed and not used and not have children go into the thing and think they're candy and eat them. And we worked on that for 4 years until we got it passed. And those are the things that we do. We will go anywhere and speak to anyone to get things passed, but just to get something that you can read and something in your language that you can understand so that you can take pills to save your life is a very important thing to seniors and people with disabilities. And so we did it. That was one of my favorite things to win.
Wonderful. Shall we bring in Rob, or did you have a second and then continue questions after he's spoken? Hene, what do you-
Let's bring in Rob. He's wonderful, and he likes to meet people. He is new to us. He is our new executive director, and he's probably as feisty as I am.
Rob, welcome. I just learned a little about you. You're actually a hard man to find in Googling or online, but I'll just say that Rob is from what I can tell, lifelong union member, activist, organizer, and legislative lobbyist. Maybe you're not a lobbyist, but I just know you come from a very strong Communication Workers of America background as part of your background in Kern County and working on the, I guess, Labor Council for Kern, Modoc, Inyo. I don't remember it all, but please share anything else and let's that you think we need to know, and tell us a little more about what's happening right now, federal and state, that we should know about as we prepare for this year. Anyway, thank you for being here.
Thank you all for having me. And I guess I should note at the beginning that I don't think anybody is quite as feisty as Hene is. I may try, but she takes the cake. Thanks again for having me here. Rob England, new executive director for CARA. I've been here for just over 2 months, so really new. But yes, thanks for the little bit of background. I've been born and raised here in Bakersfield, which for those of you that know this area and know its politics, this is some tough turf to be an organizer in, especially one that, tends to try and stand up for the right things. Yeah, I started my life here, actually raised by pretty conservative and anti-union parents, believe it or not. It wasn't until I got my first union job at 19 that I realized, I had been wrong in my whole life. Without going into too much detail, I actually went into management thinking, that was my path forward in life. Was told to fire 2 workers, refused to, and train them up to be my 2 best workers. Later found out I was going to get demoted because I refused to fire them. So that led me to the light to see that the union was clearly the good guys in this situation. So as mentioned, I approached my CWA organizer, and they got me involved in the area of the union that nobody wanted to handle, and that was politics. And I said, okay, well, well, just so happens, I'm kind of a political nerd. So that's where the transformation in my life took place. Just like probably a lot of you, I started getting involved in more and more aspects of my union. I went from just organizing my coworkers to organizing members of my union that are at different work sites. Through that, I first got involved in my big campaign, my initial first big campaign, which was the ACA fight, the Affordable Care Act fight of 2010.
We're gonna
within-
have to elect you president of the United States.
Well, I don't know if the current one is ever going to leave, but
Yeah.
we can hope. But so I ended up getting involved in this fight, started doing sit-ins, risking arrest, and that's where my eyes were opened up to the rest of labor when the then president of the Kern, Inyo and Modoc Central Labor Council had a vacancy at his VP position back in 2010 and asked if I wanted to fill it. And not knowing what I was getting into, I said yes. And I found myself doing several terms as the VP there, where my task was, again, political. So I worked with our affiliate unions in these counties to build up their membership, train their members to run for office, get union members and their allies elected here, and try to fight back against a lot of the, bad stuff that this county tends to throw at people like us. From there, I was then elected president of the Labor Council, and at this time, AT&T laid off our entire office, which was over 300 people at this point. And so, having no job, the Labor Council said, well, Rob, you've been working so hard to develop a paid staff position here for us to hire someone. Why don't we just hire you? And so it kind of worked out. I became the field organizer at there, and then a couple years later, I was recruited by SEIU Local 521 in Kern County to be their political organizer for the region. Spent 5 years doing that, where we got more union members elected to office. In fact, it's come full circle for me being here at CARA now, because there are CARA members that I remember them walking into my office, having never been involved in their union. And here they are, serving as retiree board members, for their county retiree program, and now in CARA, working with them again. So did my 5 years at SEIU, went to a nonprofit within the climate change arena for a couple years. Unfortunately, they were hit with layoffs and I got caught up in it. So I was swooped up by the California Federation of Labor Unions and worked their last election cycle down here in Kern County. And that was a temporary position. So while I was doing that, I was interviewing for CARA, and here I am today. So that's a probably longer than it needed to be story of how Rob England came to be. Why I am involved in CARA, a number of reasons. I've worked with CARA pretty much since the very beginning of my fledgling union career. I remember, several organizers ago working with the, Central Valley organizer. His name was Vishnu, and working with a lot of members that are still active today. And this goes through any step of my, career. Essentially, CARA was always around. More personally to me, I acted and still act as one of the primary caregivers for my grandparents. We lost my grandfather back in 2019, but I was helping along with my family to take care of him. Then I became, one of the sole caregivers for my grandma when she was alone these last few years. She recently passed right before Christmas this past year, but I still have my grandma and grandpa on my mom's side that I am one of the primary caregivers for, along with my mom and my aunt. So I know firsthand, I've experienced firsthand what seniors go through when changes in our society are made. Generally, I found that seniors tend to be the canary in the coal mines, because being on fixed incomes, having medications that you have to take that generally aren't cheap, having other complications, right, that come with age. These things may not affect, working age people right away, but certainly seniors tend to get hit by these things early and often. And I saw this while caring for my grandparents, and, it made me angry. And as an organizer, I've learned to channel anger into action. And so I saw, this move to CARA as being a natural move, not only because I've worked with the organization for over a decade, but because I had a actual passion and drive to stand up for seniors. Because guess what? I'm an aspiring senior. One day I hope to be retired and to be in your all shoes. But much like you all have earned this retirement. You could be hanging out with your families right now, having a good time. But that's the thing, you're not. You're still here, you're fighting. And that's why I have, a great pride in being CARA's executive director, because out of all, the thousands and thousands of members that we have, many of them could be just enjoying their retirement, but they're in the trenches still and they're fighting. And retirees have so much institutional knowledge that they could pass on to the next generation to ensure that they can keep fighting. They can keep this fight up. And one day they can become retirees and still have some of the benefits that, we enjoy today. So that's kind of a background of, why I came to CARA, why I'm involved, and why I'm very passionate about this work. And apologies for being late. I had another call that just ran too long, but I caught some of Hene's presentation, and she covered a lot. I think she covered most everything. I will just give comment, I guess, on CARA, being the California Alliance for Retired Americans. We're part of the national ARA. But our focus most years would be statewide legislation, because we're, statewide organization. Late last year, you may have heard of this, there was an election that happened, and the results weren't quite what most of us would have wanted them to be. And so the decision was made out of necessity that CARA would be pivoting this year and possibly future years to federal legislation. Again, normally we focus on statewide, which we still will this year, but we will certainly have added emphasis on our national work. And it shouldn't be a surprise to anyone that this is going to be around primarily Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid. Having this, extra added fight, it's going to be more important than ever that CARA, partners with groups like yours, works with your members, and we keep each other informed and supported. Because if 2016 was any indication to us, we know that the strategy is to shock the system. We know the strategy is to get organizations like ours to scramble and spread our resources as thin as possible, because they want us, trying to take on every issue. So one reality of CARA this year is that, we will have to intentionally focus our efforts, our legislative focus, on priority issues that affect seniors. We care about many issues. Some of those aren't, necessarily pure senior issues. But this year we are going to have to really focus and make sure that we're, again, working in concert together to support one another and make sure that, we survive this thing that we're going through now, and we grow our orgs now and into the future. I've rambled for quite a while now, so I'll pause for a sec to see if anybody has any questions for me. Or comments, if you want to critique me, that's cool too.
And people can put those in chat as well as raise their hand, as Maria is doing.
Yes, let me check chat here.
And Maria, there is a question from Maria Saul, one of our board members.
Hi, Maria.
Hi. So thank you so much. I'm so glad you got on the call. And I'm so glad you are motivated primarily by love, turning your anger into action. And I'm just so glad that you care about us elders and recognize that someday you will too. And Miss Hene, you are so delightfully precious. So thank both of you. And I just wonder, especially if we're spanning out nationally, has anyone tried to collaborate with Ralph Nader? Because as an activist, as a 99%er, it's the people that can, and we must, and we better, the collaboration rather than competition. Ralph Nader is so amazing in terms of how he hooks everyone up and gets stuff going. So, all right, that's my question, but much gratitude to both of you. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Any other questions or anything you'd like me to address? I see one thing in the chat here. How do you join the lobbying efforts both at the state and national level? If that question was directed at CARA, we do have our lobby day this year. It's May 7th. It'll be fully remote, so there's no travel needed. And we do, have folks assigned to their region. If you've done a lobby day before, it'll be very similar, just on Zoom. So no need to worry about having to go anywhere.
I'll just add, that throughout the year, that was a question from, I'm sorry, I'm forgetting, Caitlin, who's a newcomer today, that you can join CARA as an independent person, but you're also, you join Gray Panthers, you're automatically a member. And there are monthly meetings that cover 3 counties now, I think, here in the Bay Area. We used to have Alameda County, but now it's Alameda, Contra Costa, and some others, Sonoma. And they have, with them, are part of monthly meetings. And then the lobby day meetings happen in May. And then there's another set, right? Another like push in the fall, as I remember. So it's a pretty dynamic group, and you can join with or without Gray Panthers. All right. A question submitted with an RSVP. Rains, you want to read that?
I see Norma has a hand up first.
Oh, okay.
I remember unmute Norma.
I wonder if we could see who here by hand raise or something has lobbied elected people. I think it'd be nice to know if people here have gone and done lobbying. Yeah.
So I would invite folks who have turned their camera off to turn their camera on or raise your icon.
I know that Zoom actually treats it as raising a hand to ask a question. So you might choose to lower your hand afterwards in the Zoom settings. Yes.
I have.
Hello, Miss Cecilia.
Yes.
Another one of our members and now a new board member. Do you have a question? You've been a longtime member of CARA.
Yes, I have. And I just like to ask our executive director, why do we stop going in person to lobby day? Because we used to go often to lobby day.
Thank you for your question. And the simple answer for that is cost.
Okay.
Due to budgetary concerns.
Yes, indeed.
Norma, did you have a question? Because you were invited to unmute and ask it if you do.
You didn't hear me ask the question?
Oh, that people say whether they've lobbied. I'm sorry.
Oh,
Well, then
okay. That's
I have
okay.
a question. I have a question.
yes.
Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security. I mean, I know these are pretty well defended and entrenched, and that there's Republicans who will support this. What do you think is the biggest threat to those programs that people have worked for or need in many cases? Yeah. What do you think is something that could affect us this year? Is there anything?
I would say that the biggest threat to those programs is the man in charge of the whole show now. And the reason I say that is because, as you said, they're well-defended programs. We know that there's a lot of folks on both sides that would defend them. However, I do believe that the current president has an effect on people, particularly in his party, to do things that maybe in the past they would not have done. or maybe to completely go back on things they have voted on, right? I do not for 1 second want to underestimate that man, because he's shown that he can turn what I saw as maybe pragmatic, regular, normal elected officials. They might have just been on the other side of the aisle, turn, into shells of their former selves and willing to sell themselves out just to get a little bit more for themselves. So I do think that it's that unknown factor that he brings that is what scares me the most about it, because we know the traditional attacks. We don't know what he and his folks have in store, and that's what keeps me awake at night. Privatization. Thanks, Arlene. That's obviously a big one. Yes.
Do you want to read what you're referring to?
Yes, Arlene added in chat, and privatization of many of our resources.
Do you want to speak to the Friday forum about the resistance to privatizing Medicare with Medicare Advantage?
Yeah, you know what? I'll drop a link right now in chat. I would invite all of you and anyone else that might be interested in this. It's open to everyone. To this Friday, we're having one of our fabulous Friday forums, and the topic will be covering the pivot to national legislation, or our focus on national issues. Basically, we will have 3 speakers. One will be David Simon, who's with the ARA, the National Alliance for Retired Americans. We're going to have Jamie Worker, who was with one of our partners, Caring Across Generations. And we will also have Lorena Gonzalez, who's the head of the California Federation of Labor Unions, speaking. And all of them will be covering the topic of what their organization is going to be focusing on this year in regards to national legislation. It's a good mix of folks, I believe, because you've got the state, Federation of Labor's perspective, you have the national ARA's perspective, and you have a community partner perspective. So we'll have a wide variety of different viewpoints that we can see what, everyone has in common and where everyone's working differently. So please register for that. They usually last about an hour and a half or so. And they're recorded. So if you can't make it, if you still register, you get the recording link afterwards so you can watch it in case you missed it.
Norma, do you have a question? And please don't be shy, other people who haven't spoken yet.
Yeah. I have a question.
Well, what?
Are you going to have me ask make my comment?
Miss Cecilia, if you could after Norma. So Norma, if you speak your question.
Then
we'll Miss Cecilia.
Amy Goodman did an interview, Democracy Now!, with the person who made a new movie called Apprentice. And the trailer that they showed Roy Cohn screaming. He was the lawyer that murdered the Rosenbergs in 1953.
Yes, he is.
Yes. Screaming, never give up, never give up. And this is the character that is created with the assistance of this horror of he got himself as an attorney. Never give up, never give up, never say you're wrong, never identify an error that you made.
Looks like Hene wants to answer. Respond.
No.
Mr. Thiel next.
Yes, I'm very concerned about Medicare, because Medicare is not taking care of some of our senior citizens' needs. Because right now, the seniors are in need of a bill to help them to be able to receive underwear. I think it's ridiculous that Medicare will not pay for that. And we have a lot of seniors that's right now that's in need of that. And we need to figure out some kind of way to have someone to write a bill that we have to vote on to get Medicare to take care of our intimate needs, because it's very important.
That is true.
Is that an issue that CARA will be leading on? Or is it a bigger issue? And then we have Lean, who has raised her hand.
Yeah, it's definitely a need.
Hello?
There hasn't been direct talks about legislation around that particular issue, but I definitely think it's something that needs to be addressed. I agree with you.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Arlene?
Good afternoon, Rob.
Hello.
I was sitting here, as I'm kind of looking at what's going on the ground, right? And you think about the benefits that are, from the social services that is being discussed to cut. All of the agencies that are going to be impacted due to much privatization that's going to actually be coming down the pipeline. And so how many seniors here in the state of California and in North America actually receive social service benefits, and those benefits that they receive, how will they be impacted, and is CARA focused on the social services that will be impacting people?
Are you talking about Social Security or social services?
I'm talking about SNAP. I'm talking, EBT, those type of benefits. There's a lot of people that receive that, including look at Medicaid, all of the social services that are going to be impacted. Seniors receive they get Medi, so they get Medicaid and Medi-Cal.
That's right.
And so they're being impacted in that. EBT, the food that's going to be, are they going to reduce the food allotment that seniors are going to be receiving because they're cutting social services?
You are absolutely right.
And so I'm talking about the umbrella, not one particular, just not like focused on one thing, because it all intersects. And even as Ms. Pam was talking about with Medicare, certain services that seniors need, that Medicare needs to be expanded to cover that, and they don't. And so that's my
Can I answer?
Sure.
The answer is that we have been fighting for those things every year. And in some instances we have won, in some we have lost. Being a senior is, you say, oh, the golden years. Well, they aren't the golden years. So we really are working hard, and I'm glad you brought this up, because it is everyday things that people need. And the SNAP program is one of the most important programs around. So yes, we do work with that statewide. We have gone all the way to Washington to work on it with the ARA. You are right. We can't forget those things. And that will be part of what we are doing. And boy, I'd like to have you come sometime and speak in front of the folks that can make it happen, because your voice is important.
Arlene, you're being recruited. Everyone wants Arlene. I just want to follow on something that we haven't mentioned yet, that I know a number of our members have been deeply involved in immigrant rights, and Berkeley is a sanctuary city for, and Rob, I think you're still in Bakersfield, Kern County. I mean, could we speak to? And then I also got this message from our partners in LTSS for All Coalition, the Hand in Hand Coalition, just saying, in the middle of all the uncertainty and, you know, our hearts are going out to the immigrants. I mentioned that earlier. But anyway, do you want to say anything about that and whether CARA, how CARA might be involved in that issue, even though it's not particular to Gray Panthers, it's still close to many people's hearts. Do you want to say how that might affect us here in California? There's a lot. We're pretty sure, or at least I'm pretty sure, punishing California, denying FEMA aid, and then this whole immigrant,
It's
border war. What can we do here in California, and how are we
we
affected?
can keep fighting.
Well, I know we can keep fighting. This is not an issue. I just know people who accompany immigrants to their hearings. Is there something else that, could we be speaking up about our caregivers, those of us who are caregivers and those of us who have caregivers or hope to have someone in the future? Should we be talking about that?
Yes, yes. You absolutely need to do that. You know, if the caregivers, if the people who pick our tomatoes are taken away, we won't have anything in this. These people are the people who take care of children, disability people, aged people, the whole state depends on these people. So that is something that we have to talk about and explain to people and get them to be there to help the people that the government is going to go after, and especially in California. So I think you're right. I think that is something that CARA has to work on, and all of our organizations that we work with, I think, will agree with us. And I think that is going to be one of our priorities this year.
Yeah, and I'll just add to that, one way that at least I keep up to date about it, because it's, a key issue for us, but it's a very complex one, is if you have any regional coalitions that focus on immigration reform, for example, highly recommend that you expose yourself to them, because, I was part of the 2012-2013 comprehensive immigration reform fight. That unfortunately, the Gang of Eight couldn't get through. But I did see a lot of things that make me question, how this is all going to work out now in 2025. Back in those days, we were shoulder to shoulder fighting, for reform with some unlikely folks, some traditional enemies of labor, like the Chamber of Commerce, and other big businesses, because it's going to hit their pocketbook, first and foremost, when they don't have these workers. So sticking with these coalitions is good, because they tend to, have beads on these types of insight and know, who we can talk with and work with. That's not a traditional ally of, most of the groups we're involved in. But well put, Hene.
Yep. At each time I go to Bakersfield and talk about things like this, I use a union song for it, and it's called Freedom. I don't know if other people know it, but it goes this way: freedom doesn't come like a bird on the wing, doesn't come down like the summer rain. Freedom is a hard-won thing. You have to work for it, fight for it, day and night for it, and every generation has to win it again. So pass it on to your children, mother, pass it on to your children, brother. You have to work for it, fight for it, day and night for it. And I think that is one of the most important things that we have to do. And we're talking about people in our state that are in dire trouble. And if you look at seniors, they are people in the state that are in dire trouble. People with disabilities are, and people who really work hard, but maybe aren't citizens at this point. So I think this is the kind of thing that CARA wants to do. They really want to pass it on to everybody, get in and work with everybody to get these things done. So, if you have important things in your organization, people we're talking to, talk to CARA. We will incorporate it. When that person was talking about all these things that we need in Medicare and Medicaid, we fight for that every day. And you can join us. You can ask us for help. We'll come and do it.
Well, we have, as we start wrapping up your wonderful contributions, there's a chat from Norma. I see we're only a few of us are asking questions and comments, so it'd be great to hear how other people are feeling. But she asked, can we get a bus? If enough,
and we have done that,
and especially for people who aren't feeling like they're physically up for it, can we get away to be, participate in Sacramento?
Cost a lot of money, but if we need to go to Sacramento, if we need to go anywhere, we have done it with CARA vans, people picking you up in their cars and taking you and bringing you back, or with buses. That has happened. If there is a bill that is coming up, if there is something that is happening, we do that, and we can help with that. Sure.
I remember a great trip to Bakersfield. Arlene, why don't you bring us home and
Okay, I'm going to say this. I received emails. I don't know if you know Poor is about the unhoused, right?
Oh, yes.
Unhoused, right? And so
your magazine.
I received this wonderful piece that I forwarded to, I think it's like Pico or One Interfaith, some group, and they're trying to organize because of the terror that people are feeling about Homeland Security being able to come to schools and churches.
And homeless shelters.
Just the various places that they're going to be coming to, and how to educate people. So they actually put together a really short and brief information sheet to know your rights, if in fact this happens to you or someone that you know. And so when I was listening to Rob speak, and I was thinking about the farm workers and immigrants, and there's some sort of legislation and conversation about housing for farm workers. There's conversation for housing for unhoused. There's housing conversation about housing for seniors and transition age youth. All of these things intersect. And
they do.
And one of the things that, as we're saying this, I know some students who are DACA and they're not registering for school because they're afraid it might impact their families. And so we although we are seniors and we are the age that we are, and we have things that impact us, many of us are suffering altogether because of the issues that are going on around us. So one of my things is I appreciate Great Panthers. I appreciate all of the senior organizations, but I also know how can we begin to unite collectively, because only collectively is where we have power. Because it's not just seniors suffering from not having housing, it's a transition age youth, 18 to 21. Students don't have housing for college. Families can't afford housing. tenants can't afford to pay rent. And so we have like all of these, and look at our healthcare system. And like Miss Celia said, Medicare doesn't even pay for basic needs that seniors might have. And many people are suffering from not just one particular thing. We all intersect. And so I just wanted to kind of close with that for us to not just be so siloed about how we treat the suffering that we're going through. How can we better connect with others that have an intersecting issue with what we're going through?
And
Thank
that is why I did that poem, that song. You have to work with all ages and all types of people. CARA and your organization don't just work for seniors. We work for our grandchildren. We work for, for those kinds of things. And we really should reach out to them. I will tell you that there are many democratic communities that do go out and absolutely help people who could be taken, and they give them the information. Don't open your door. You do not have to open your door to anybody that comes to your door. So I think that's something that CARA should be getting out to people who are undocumented. So thank you for bringing that up. And the housing problem is a terrible problem. We have been working on that too, and we'll come up with bills for that in our state and maybe federal bills.
I wanted to, you mentioned regional coalitions. We are part of a few of those in as well, but I did want to mention that I wanted to get your opinion about some of our new legislators. The mayor of Berkeley is now, wait, did he lose? I'm sorry, I'm so dazed. But there's the League of Women Voters is hosting a meeting about what is regional government and how do we influence that. And that's things like the area of Bay Area governments, Association of Bay Area Governments, Metropolitan Transportation Commission. They don't deal in social welfare or programs, but they might, Rob, maybe I'll just ask you. I do see your hand, Maria. But Rob, do you have any information or thoughts about what's going on in our regional governments? They're all elected officials. They're not appointed. But are you familiar with what are some of the opportunities in the legislature with certain representatives or certain regional agencies for us to impact, if not health and programs like SNAP, then some of the other housing issues? We know there's a crossover there. Anything you want to say about that?
Yeah, I can speak to actually something that we're working with the legislature on right now. Is bringing up the AJR, Hene, if you wanted to add anything, to that.
Okay.
But we're working with Assemblymember Pilar Chiavo's office to get a resolution passed in the Assembly to defend Medicare and Social Security. And so the office has already agreed to do it. They're currently looking for co-sponsors on it. But Pilar, I know, has been just an amazing, partner for CARA over the years. And really stepping off of the AJR for a second, my experience is that if you really want to be effective with legislation, it's about developing those relationships. And I know that, the initial thought is, oh, we got to develop the relationship with the elected official, which absolutely. But a lot of the times, if you can get really in good with their staff, that sometimes is even more powerful.
That's the best thing anybody has said, because the staff know what's going on and they will talk to the legislator and tell them this is important.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Exactly.
Well, it's time to wrap this up. Maria, I know you're going to give us a good cheer going out, but I really want to thank you both. And again, we don't have a good way to, but unmute and cheer for, or thank, or put into the comments any last appreciations, celebrations, or questions. And
Betsy,
this is
Betsy,
the
will
last
you
time
let,
to be here.
may I
Yep.
say something
Take
really
us
quickly?
home.
Well,
Okay,
well,
Maria.
I just thank you so much. And each of us is a gift and has a gift to give. The point being, we've got to be able to simply come together and communicate and cooperate.
Mhm.
We just, so what I'm saying is it's overwhelming. The macro is so big, so many particulars, so many even opposing needs. You know, one person needs this and that hurts somebody else. But if we come back to what Rob so beautifully spoke, his love for his grandparents, if we come back to the center, to the fact that each and every human being, no matter who and no matter where, is a human being with human needs, and all it takes is a huge fire or an earthquake to humble us, or weather to understand that we all need the same things. And we can simplify this, focus on what is our passion, but never exclude or underestimate the gift of either information or capacity that each of us has to come together like round tables, just, straw horse ideas on the bulletin board, build the community. Because if we all don't work together, there won't be any of us. So thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you.
I want to simplify. We have to get rid of the right to profit. Our owners take profit off our labor. And that is what complicates everything. Everything that goes on has to be adjusted so that our owners make profit. The thing that we want is health care for all. We're not interested in whether or not it gives anybody profit. The thing that we want is social housing, whether or not without profit. We want to be able to supply ourselves our food, our luxurious dinners, without something having to make profit off of that. We need those materials, and serving profit is not what we were supposed to be here. We cannot take care of ourselves dealing with all the complexities that Marie was correctly referring to, and that many people say, oh, it's too much to deal with, too much to deal. No, it's simple. And that's the problem that our owners have with what we're about.
Thank you.
Eileen.
Thank you, Maria. Thank you, Norma. Thank you, Arlene. Thank you, everyone who had a question. This is an ongoing relationship building. People who've been people are here who've been part of CARA for years, and hopefully some new people will understand and support. We bring back news whenever we can to our members. Anyway, I will just say thank you, and stick around if you'd like. We have a more open discussion, announcements from members, resource sharing, and all of this is predicated on if there's an endorsement or a specific a campaign. We also have a board of directors that acts in between member meetings. But at the current time, I just thank you. I know I'm going on.
And thank you for having us.
It's not the first time, believe me. But here you are. This is the first time we've had you. Okay, thanks.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, and I hope we'll definitely get to hear more from you.
And Happy New Year to you.
Happy New
Happy New
Year.
Year.
All right. Thank you, everybody. I guess they've chosen to leave. I don't know why they don't stick around. Sometimes people do.
No, Henny's still.
Oh, there's Henny.
Henny's here.
So, we have San Francisco Gray Panthers, Long Beach Gray Panthers. There's a new chapter coming up there's one in Santa Barbara already. There's us, and there's a fifth one, I think, down in San Diego. And to the best of my knowledge, all the existing ones are part of CARA and active in one way or another in their chapter. So this to me is this is like an infrastructure, because Gray Panthers doesn't have its own lobbying team. Anyway, any thoughts about that? And then we'll move on with the last part of our meeting. Any member comments?
You said Gray Panthers doesn't have our own lobbying team, but what is a Gray Panthers alignment with the organizations that you're affiliated with that already does?
Well, in California, we are members. Every chapter that I have a relationship, are members of CARA, and they're part of some of the same coalitions we're part of. I will say, we didn't mention Housing Now. I brought it up earlier, but that is a statewide coalition that I am trying to get all of our Gray Panther chapters to join. Many of them are part of Tenants Together, and I could talk about the legislative priorities that are coming out of those organizations. They're still being formed. I could talk about that if people are interested in, we've talked this last year about social housing. I'm still kind of the main liaison to Housing Now, which is facilitating the coalition building and relationship building and legislative priorities building among the whole housing tenants' rights areas of issues. Yeah. Carol, you want to speak up? I see Carol's raised her hand. And Norma, do you want to put your hand down, or did you want to? But first Carol.
The National Domestic Workers Alliance is sending out emails on dealing with ICE.
Do you want to, do you have that message from them?
No, but tomorrow there's a seminar on ICE raids. And the email, I put my email in the chat so that anybody that wants to get that email me and I'll send it to you. I saved that. I get so many emails, I get buried in them, and I haven't saved the NDWA ones.
Thanks, Carol.
Yeah.
I got an ACE meeting, and that's been a conversation even pre-election, and so there's a large population there that's been asking questions about not only ICE rights, tenants' rights, etc. And so, as much information that we can arm people with, that's really important. So, whatever you have, forward it to me, okay?
Okay.
Thank you.
This is actually the time we're open up to where each of us, remind me, Carol, this, I think what we decided, each of us has a few minutes, I think 3 minutes, to share what's a priority for you or in your life and your politics. And basically a time for us to check in. We're here as whole human beings, not just political vehicles, but I know that's very important. That is why Gray Panthers exist. But I see we have Susan Osborne. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm sorry, the sun is coming in through my window and I can't seem to control it. I wanted to thank you all for letting me spy on your group. I'm here in Denver, Colorado, and we have recently tried to start a Gray Panther group.
That's right.
And there are only about, maybe 10 of us, and we've been very lax in doing that. One of our members is connected to one of the New York groups. I grew up in California. I have ties there. My daughter is the librarian in Oakland at the Montclair branch. And so this was the obvious one for me to just see what you're doing there, to see what the issues are. And we don't have a CARA group that I even knew about until I learned from your group that we actually do have a Colorado alliance. But I looked at it while you were talking, and it's practically, it looks like there's no presence on the web. Anyway, but thank you very much for letting me, and I'd like to come back and visit with you another time to see what else you're doing so that we can get some ideas about what to do here in Colorado. So thank you very much.
That's fantastic, Susan, and good luck. Colorado is fertile ground for sure.
Oh, well, you know, Colorado and California are joined basically now. You know, Denver's a sanctuary city. You know, we're not looking forward to the next 4 years.
So that does actually remind me, we are part of of the National Council of Gray Panther Networks, which is how Susan, I know your group in Colorado has been working with Randy Block, who's been convener for the National Council. He's also chair of the National Issues Council, and the National Issues Committee and the National Council have have had regular meetings to endorse certain or send messages in Washington. It's not a large group because the organization as a whole is kind of rebuilding in parts of the country where there used to be chapters. But that's, if any of you are interested, we could use folks who could attend and report back to us. But they have raised these issues, these national issues on abortion, on the war between Israel and Gaza, and put out statements consistent with our the Gray Panthers' historic values. So, Susan, and anyone, I'll put my phone number, and Carol, maybe you can put your phone number as well in the chat if someone wants to give a call, if you, Susan, just to brainstorm, and anyone else who'd be up for that, please go ahead and put your number in the chat.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah, welcome. And you can always become a member. You sign up at our website to receive occasional emails. And then if you wish to become a dues-paying member of our chapter, you can do that, or join the national chapter, the National Council. Yeah. All right. I see Hallie's hand is up, and there was another hand up, and we've lost a couple of people who are here.
Yeah.
But I'm glad.
Yeah, well,
our time. Let me
well,
not.
my main thrust for the next couple of years is not to go insane, but I can mostly do that through music and acapella. When they had the San Francisco March, I tried to get a Berkeley one going, but forget it. But I went into the San Francisco March, and we had about 35, 40, maybe even more than that, people join us on the street to sing. So what we do is when there are marches, acapella stays in one place. And as the marchers go by, we're singing to them. And this way, people with disabilities and people who have trouble marching can still be part of the march without having to worry about mobility. So it's a really good setup. And if anybody wants to sing with acapella, just let me know, and I'll put you on our, our mailing, and and we can let you know when we're doing some action. I have sent out the notices about these things to the Gray Panthers, but I'm not sure if you have the staffing to get it out to people or not.
That's where Carol will affirm we are a volunteer-only organization.
Right.
So, but
I'm learning how to do mail lists. When I learn how to do that, then I can send things out.
Okay, because I know you're strapped for things, so I'm not expecting it, but if people want to find out about stuff like that, they can always email me. You know, if there's a demo coming up, and it's a big thing, the acapella will generally be trying to find a place to sing. And we don't need to be on stage. We just want to participate with people.
Robert, you used to be with the labor chorus, but that was laid down this year, seems like. So that's wonderful, Hallie, to know
Oh,
there's.
and this weekend at Mission High School, the labor chorus will actually be performing as one of the choruses. There's a bunch of stuff going on at Mission High School. It's the music and social justice. I'll look it up and I'll put the website, what it's actually called, in the chat. But I'll be doing a workshop on writing parodies, and I'll be performing just a little bit. But there's a lot of stuff going on, so I'll find the website and stick it in the chat.
Robert, thank you, Hallie. Robert? You had your hand up.
Okay. I thought I was unmuted, but the labor course will be performing at it's called the Congress of the People, convening to develop a people's platform. It's January 25th, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. And then there's a process afterward. And we'll be performing around about 7 in the evening on the 25th. Because we had a couple of practices at Pat Wynn's house, you see.
Want to wait in here? Okay.
Yeah, we're Saturday starts 9 a.m. Concert at 7 p.m. So we'll be performing about 7 p.m. Saturday the 25th.
Thank you, Robert. I just want to let you know the board is meeting next Wednesday. We're going to start with a little bit of a potluck at 12:30. If any member or someone who is considering volunteering, not just politically, but to help us do what we do, to stay in touch with our members and supporters, please, get in touch with me. My number's in the chat, or call Carol, and we'll see about, it's going to be an in-person gathering. The first one we've had maybe in a year. What am I going to say? Carol, do you have some announcements or information you want to say about priorities for you this year?
Wait, Betsy, where is it going to be in person?
That's why I'm asking it. You have received emails, but it's at Berkeley Co-Housing. So if people are not on the board, just get in touch with me or Carol to get more info about what you'd like to come to the board meeting. It's not a big gathering, but yeah, it'll be in Central Berkeley on Sacramento Street. And it's unfortunately not fully accessible. There's 4 stairs. I feel terrible about that. Yeah.
I thought it was going to be a hybrid meeting.
For board members who can't make it, but I don't think I can
Okay.
manage the whole, unless we have more volunteers. Rains, are you there? I'm sorry. I think Rains had to step away, but we did want to get some feedback from people about future activities, but we need more, I believe we need more volunteers. For example, an in-person member meeting and speaker meeting. That takes a fair amount of work, but we could organize 1 or 2 this year if there's support for that. I also want to let you know.
I am available, Betsy.
Well, okay. Do you want to talk about your idea for more frequent emails?
I don't think there's much to talk about, but a lot of times we've waited. We had everything figured out for the meeting before sending out the reminder and invitations, and that means sometimes the announcements are last minute or people don't have the date set aside. So it can be a challenge for some people who like to plan ahead and set dates aside. So because we now do have a regular rhythm of our meetings in terms of when they are, we're planning on sending out some announcements, setting them up. Automatically go up if we don't have all stuff.
Your voice is cracking up, Rains. I didn't hear everything you said.
I find it very difficult every time now. That's been 3 or 4 times. Difficult to find the link to connect to this event, the Gray Panther Wednesday event. The messages that are sent.
The link is always available on the website. The event is always there on our calendar, RSVP.
I know it's there, but I can't find out which place to click. It's hidden.
Okay, there's usually an RSVP button down at the.
So some of the mechanics are still difficult. We've been sending out the link but usually we're asking people to click on RSVP and then they receive the link.
Very complicated.
Okay, well, I'm glad you made it here today, Norma. You are actually one of the most regular people and much appreciated. Tomorrow, by the way, I'm slated to go meet with Pilar, who's the person organizing, coordinating the Community Voice Matters input process for that Berkeley safety and environmental justice work. And I'm going to have a little session to map, and we're meeting to do the mapping exercise, and then have a conversation about Gray Panther and West Berkeley, my particular neighborhood. That's just one, or maybe there's room for a second or third person. We're going to meet at Cafe Layla on San Pablo Avenue and have coffee or tea while I fill out this map with her. The same exercise will be on the February 1st meeting. That's the one that Maria announced. So, you know what? I am sharing twice.
What is the map for?
The map is for people in Berkeley to understand the first round of the map was where are the people most vulnerable and potentially left out of the conversation about safety. The first was some questions about what district in Berkeley do we think those people live in? Us, the people we care about, different constituencies. And
so is this like for emergency preparedness sort of?
Well, yeah, it doesn't yes, but it's also, as Maria was saying, it's a chance for us to raise up issues in neighborhoods where people don't go to the planning commission or they're isolated at home. It's a way to think more broadly, but it is under the element of the Berkeley safety plan. And Community Voices is trying to make sure there's more neighbors engaged, like unhoused neighbors, who usually aren't participating in planning processes.
Betsy, may I speak? Because
yeah, please.
I just spent an hour doing that with her this morning. Arlene, it's really amazing because with these different groups coming from different aspects of the community, a whole Black thing, a whole CIL thing, different facets of this disco ball of our community, assessing where the needs are, where the resources are, and how can we activate an actual applicable frickin' plan. Just as an example, for years, every meeting, commission and city, how about some porta potties? What about a few dumpsters? I mean, we're talking about trying to connect the dots, and somehow or another, the Ecology Center, and there's an amazing woman, has come up with a strategy and a whole bunch of intellectual, sensible I don't know, ways of approaching it, which is above and beyond my pay grade. At any rate, I plug myself in because I'm directly aware of what's going on the street, just like you are, Arlene. This is why I so appreciate you. It's not theoretical, you know? So it's real. And so the mapping is locating specifically where in the city, what is happening, what is needed, and what can we do, whether it is for emergencies or the actual state of emergency of how people are barely surviving presently, and unfortunately it might get even worse. So there you have it. It's really cool, especially if they can actually implement it, because I keep looking. I got a lot of nails, but if I don't have a hammer, right, I mean, we got to quit talking about it and actually do it. And they're really online, in my view, to get something to happen, because the city has not been paying attention, as you know.
Now,
Thank you.
I want
this
to,
is
Arlene,
interesting.
I'm sorry. I just want to give a little update, actually. At our last social that Carol organizes and lets people know about the social once a month. At our last social, Carol Morosevich asked us if we would support the presence of a public porta potty, not a porta potty, I'm sorry, a permanent, efficient public toilet that would be open 24/7. And and this is like 5 years in the planning, the money is already there.
Carol spoke to me about it. Yeah.
Okay, so Carol wrote a letter to City Council, like a very short letter saying we supported this and maybe we should do it again, Carol. And then on behalf of Gray Panthers, and then I showed up at a Berkeley Neighborhood Council meeting, and basically there's a neighbor who lives nearby, and there's a group of West Berkeley people who want to beautify San Pablo Avenue, which is great, but they're thinking that a toilet will be just a magnet for
Okay, let me
so I spoke up that seniors also need public toilets. I'm just saying,
okay.
this
I
is
get
a
I get what
minor.
you're saying. I get what you're saying, but I'm going to
just
say that
letting our Berkeley members know, and if you want to speak up about this for more public
no,
toilets.
I was just saying, when you
Please
think
do.
about the times that we're living in, right? And most of the restaurants that used to avail you a public restroom
They
or
don't anymore.
government offices, they no longer do that. And so
Right.
you go how many blocks down, how many public restrooms are in that area?
Yeah.
And so, who lives where, and where are the public restrooms, if in fact there are any? And if there aren't any, that's where this comes into play. And so, I get exactly what you're saying, because I've been thinking about that ever since I did the CIL program and found out how things are actually set up, which is, it's a lot of things, there's broken systems. And we
What
need new
CAL
systems.
program was that?
I did the emergency preparedness
Yeah.
program.
Yeah.
And so
Beautiful.
the emergency preparedness program really shed some light. The fire department shed some light on the way things actually work and what we have in place and the layers that are not there that are needed. If in fact a natural disaster happened, never mind our everyday life, because we also have our everyday life that we
That's
have
right.
to deal with, but we also have, you look at all of the affordable housing, it's all elevated. And so elevated, many of the seniors are living in elevated buildings, but if you get sick and something happens to you in there, how are you able to get out? And there's not real conversations about that. That's where they're steering us. I don't particularly care for elevated buildings, but if you have no choice, because this is the world that we're currently living in. This is North America, and this is the way that it's designed. And so I get what you're saying about how many blocks do you have to go, or how far do you have to go to even find a restroom, especially
Yeah.
for the senior. And
Yeah.
don't be on medication, where, it's constantly wreaking havoc on your body and you constantly gotta, relieve yourself. So it's really important, those things. So I get what you're saying.
So those of us who are board members, Carol and I just said, well, we're going to support this request at the social. you know, but I feel like maybe there's room for a more formal endorsement, and you've nailed it. You've nailed it, Arlene.
All
This
right.
is
All right. But I also
right
need to
there.
speak since my life has revolved being homeless around where is a bathroom.
Yep.
The few porta potties that exist are frequently trashed, and or public bathrooms can often not be safe.
Thank you.
Right. So it's not just, again, we have to be, this is why I brought up micro and macro. It's like, when you just throw one ball into one basket, that's great. You maybe get the hoop, but you might hit somebody on the head. It's like we've got to be able to think of unintended consequences. Everybody's got these great ideas, but we've got to coordinate it and actually plan it, just like the freaking bike lanes. They're
So
great for bicycles. No, let me finish, Betsy. When it comes to emergencies, you cannot get down most of the streets, especially with all of the construction going on now and all of the Uber and this, that, and the other shopper peoples that are double parking. We are already utterly unable to drive safely in an efficient way. And again, if there was, God forbid, an emergency, I mean, I just saw a fire engine. It's like, I don't know how they'd get down, and they've reported they can't get down some streets. And then it takes just one person to block everything, which is why some people are leaving this town, because if they need an ambulance and the fire department says we can't get to you, they're literally signing up to die. So we need to be a lot more holistic, cooperative, and communicative. Again, we've got to discuss these things, not just throw one ball trying to get in one basket and dropping it if it doesn't. Okay. Thank you. I'm really, I'm impassioned about it because again, I watched a woman barely get down the street because her feet, she didn't have any feet. I mean, it's like, come on. Come on. We don't have transportation for these people. We don't have shuttles. We don't have advocates. We don't have networks, call lines, visits. There's so much that we as a community, just as an extended family, can do naturally because we care and we're willing to share. We've got to simplify this, get back to, again, what the Black Panthers did effortlessly, not without great difficulty, but you know what I'm saying? They just naturally knew they had to feed people. They had to shelter people. They had to protect people. They had to educate people, right? I mean, this is not rocket science, but we've gotten so smart. In my humble opinion, some of the people have gotten really stupid and we're ignoring things that could happen right now. We don't have money for porta potties. Yes, you do. Yes, you do if you quit wasting so much, waiting until you're sued, and paying for things that do not comply with what you're paying for because they're so bloated. So we've just got to be real here. And thank you for listening to me, but I'm on this every frickin' day. So that's why I get a little feisty. Thank you.
Okay, this isn't porta potties. This is those Parisian fancy green metal cottages that you go into. They're restrooms. They have them in San Francisco, in downtown San Francisco, and they were great until they were trashed by people using them on the street for whatever purpose they wanted to do in there. But they're going to be manned 24 hours a day. And there's room to get a wheelchair inside one. They're roomy.
I think,
and they're planning to put them in several places in Berkeley, and there's no complaint from any other area of Berkeley except the one on San Pablo and University. There's an organization that's complaining that they weren't consulted, that they're new people to the neighborhood, and the people that were in the neighborhood were consulted. And they're the only that's the only pot, excuse me, not porta potty, but the only public restroom that is slated to be put in that is being protested.
Right. And let me just explain that the porta potty locations end up being a magnet for people that
Well-
frequently need to use the restroom. Wait a second. And the reason why I'm on the Mental Health Commission is because I'm aware of the fact that some people do not have the capacity to function appropriately. I have cleaned poo splattered all over the porta potty because they can't aim, and or they have to take toilet paper home, and or they have to sit in there when it's raining because they're tired of getting soaked and freezing. So this is why I said it's holistic, and it does in our state of affairs take one rotten apple, and I'm not referring to any of these people as rotten apples, but one incident to ruin it for everybody, and that's utterly unacceptable, because some of these people cannot do any better, and they have a right to use a restroom in dignity and quit bringing the community down on them, because if they don't have a porta potty, they do it right in front of me, like many people have. So,
And especially with the sweeps going on, because the list is growing, where the sweeps are happening, and where do you think people are going, and what do you think they're doing? And
So
that's the reality.
What I want to ask is actually Maria and you as well, Arlene, and other people. Maria, you are now on the Mental Health Commission in Berkeley. Do you want to make a report about what any hopes you have, or what asks you might ask of Gray Panthers who can show up?
Yes,
not
it
just
is.
me or Carol, but here.
Yes.
What's going on?
What's going on? And again, Arlene, God bless her. She is you'd think she was in construction too. She isn't about just talking it, she's about walking it and what will work and get it done. It's like, oh my God, I am blown away by how I am only one of 2 people on that entire commission that has actually even gone to the mental health building and taken a tour and gathered the resources of what this particular thing provides. One of 2 people.
You're talking about the office, the Berkeley City
Yes,
staff
because
office.
what I'm saying is, again, on the commission, when I try to gently suggest you might want to talk to the people that you say you're trying to help, you might, oh no, it's too dangerous. And where are they? And do you think we could ask them to tidy up a little bit? It's like oblivious, disconnected, and scared, and totally unaware. And these are people on the commission. All of the commissions. No, but what I'm saying. So what Gray Panthers, to answer your question, Betsy, the fact that anyone is willing to talk with me, the fact that anyone is willing to actually be on the street like Arlene is and other people are, right? So that we actually have our hands, like a gardener in the dirt. We actually know something about gardening. That's what we need. We need people remembering that, given I'm short, other people are tall, I'm thin, other people are round. It's like we're human beings. We've got to consistently be grateful, kind, respectful, generous. It's the attitude of Gray Panthers. It's the warmth. It's the support. It's the, please, let's open our eyes. We might not like it. I have not liked so much of what I've seen. I have been so scared. My life has been in danger.
But I'm
Right?
going to tell you
So-
something, Maria.
so-
It's the political will that's led us to where we're at, and the
What?
conditions that we're, the political will.
No, so here's the thing.
Will
I
has
know,
led us-
look, just like we can all, I'm just going to keep ranting. There's all of these
Please don't,
reasons
Maria.
why.
Let Arlene speak as well.
No, but
Anyone
I
else?
know, I will in just a moment. We
Okay.
can all, I've got to do this just to wrap it up.
Okay.
And Arlene hopefully will
No,
forgive
she
me.
doesn't.
That's why I said thank you, because we can all come up with a list of what's wrong. What I have been advocating is, let's just stop. Look, Arlene and I, we look at each other. I adore her. Betsy, I adore you. Carol, I adore you. It's like, let's go back into our hearts. Let's come from there and never mind all of the stuff that's in our way and all of the reasons why not. come from that place of innocence that says, why not? Why can't these people go to the bathroom with dignity? Why can't they be cared for as long as they're alive? Because otherwise, we might as well just shoot them. Because that's basically what's happening. We're killing them through trauma and neglect and abuse. So I'm just trying to be
I
real.
think you haven't noticed the society we're living in, the social structure we're
stop
living
it.
in.
I know
think
that. No,
I
Hey,
think
ladies,
that's
ladies.
the answer. That's the
Comrade,
answer. That's
friend.
the answer to your question.
We have to
We are
just
living in a structure that has created the need to murder
accept
people
that
a lot
as long
and to
as
put
I
dope on people.
Norma,
I think
okay.
somebody else
I'm
needs
gonna,
to talk.
Norma, I know what's wrong, but we all have a heart.
So I've muted our two passionate and important Gray Panther members because not everyone is able to join right now in sharing their thoughts and feelings and abilities. And we're down to just a few of us because formally our meeting ends around 3:30. Is there someone, we all have passionate feelings or we wouldn't be here, but we can't have a conversation if we're all exercising them. So Carol and other folks here, is there anyone here who hasn't spoken, who might have an idea for priorities of what they want to work on and they would like some kind of Gray Panther formal support? We can also pitch big projects, but is there something else that needs to be brought up here and now? We also have the whole year of speaker meetings, but I know some of you are activists. So please share for people who haven't shared yet. If there's anyone, well, there's only a few of us, but please, Carol, help me out here. I'm not convening very well.
I think it's important that we don't allow someone to go on beyond the 3-minute limit, which we set at the beginning. And because one person went on, then another person got involved, it turned into a shouting match. And that is out of control. And we've dealt with that at the social meeting as well. We mentioned the 3-minute limit at the beginning and then ignored it.
Thank you, Carol.
That's important.
We'll learn how to have a timer, perhaps.
I set a timer on my clock, and we didn't need it for the first few people, and I forgot to use it.
We need housekeeping items at the beginning of each meeting. I'm just saying. Anyway, I agree with
you.
Yeah, I mean, really, not being funny or anything like that, but just to convene a good meeting. So
guidelines.
Yeah, guidelines. Yeah. Thank you.
I appreciate appreciations and celebrations and different viewpoints. How do we be effective as an organization? So I'm really looking forward to working with you all this year and, some of our new members. I wanted to share, I don't need to be the last person to speak, but I did want to share that next month, Auntie Frances, who runs the Self-Help Hunger Project with a whole team of volunteers. They're doing fundraising for the project, but she's going to come and speak. She's agreed to speak in February. I need to follow up with her. So we will have a focus on unhoused neighbors. She is a former Black Panther, and so we'll get some of that history. That's for the February speaker. We'll have other topics and speakers as well, but she would be our featured one. Any last housekeeping before we go, Carol? And then I do see, is there someone who, Carol, there's others who haven't spoken at all, and then Arlene, maybe you'll have a poem that we can close out with, or Norma, you often do.
No, I'll defer to Robert.
There was one last thing I had. Helen was going to present on Measure FF, and she wasn't able to be here. There's a group working on a coalition working on a letter in support of FF, letter to the mayor asking that certain things be addressed for seniors.
Sidewalk improvements specifically? Was that?
FF is sidewalk improvements. There were two measures on the ballot,
Berkeley.
EE and FF. And FF was the one that won. It was the one that had made sure that the money would actually go to the sidewalks and that it would be spread throughout the city where it's needed. And then the letter is following up on that to make sure that seniors and the disabled are helped by what's done with the sidewalks. And we'll be voting on whether or not to support that letter at the board meeting next week.
Thanks, Carol. I think yeah. And Christy wanted us to share, and we didn't do it when we had peak people, but the Chris Kindness Award is an award that a professor at UC makes. And anyone actually can sign up to nominate a person, and that person, and then there's a voting process by about 300 people who've signed up to be voting on it. Carol, you know more about it, but
three people are nominated each month,
mm-hmm.
And this month actually it is split 3 ways. But there's $1,000 prize that comes with winning the contest. But it's being split 3 ways this month. Usually there are two people nominated. Sometimes there are 3.
So what's the website, Carol, if anyone wants to take action on it?
I have it in my emails. I'd have to look it up.
You can also just Google, I think, Chris, CHRIS, Kindness Award. And there's both a Berkeley and an Oakland, a growing,
No, it's in Berkeley now, but they want to expand to Oakland.
Yeah. So we're getting in on this early. The other thing she wanted to say is if anybody here would like to attend or knows somebody they want to refer to a class on the Berkeley campus, it's once a week. It's activism. That's what it's called. And it features speakers that have lived a life of activism and or are active on some issue. And the first meeting is today at 3 p.m. So we're not there.
4 o'clock.
Thank you. 4 o'clock. Do you have? Do you remember the time and place? And you don't have to register. There's about 400 students who are registered now, 300, and the hall holds 700 people. So again, we've been invited to participate or send people to that. And
There's no charge.
Yeah. So it's like 2 hours.
And you don't have to attend every week.
Yeah. So, and yeah.
In Wheeler Hall.
Yeah. Is there a way to get more information, or can people, like the room number? I know the problem is people send PDFs and flyers that we can't really easily share with you on Zoom. And that's why this issue of how to have more frequent communications with our.
I'll talk to Christy and send out an email this month.
And
and there was an announcement I didn't make. I usually only send out emails to Betsy and the board. And in the last few days, I sent 2 emails out to all the full membership.
The voting members.
No, I sent it to I sent it out to more than the voting members. I sent it out to the list that I have.
Yep.
So I wouldn't normally be sending them to everyone, but a lot of people are feeling pretty confused about the new incoming administration, and it seemed like the right time to do it.
Thank you, Carol. Does anyone have a poem or a something, we can also show the video again. Maybe Dave Blake has a poem to close us out. He often closes our board meetings. He's gonna go look. Dave used to be a poetry editor or an editor for a poetry magazine or something like that. Is that true, Dave?
I was an editor and never for poetry magazines.
Oh.
I would never try to edit poetry. I once tried to edit a novel. It was the worst experience of my life.
Did you want to share a poem, Dave? And then
look, if you give me a second, I've got to find my phone. I don't know where the hell it is. Oh, there it is. Well, I mean, I can't do it on under this much pressure. Someone else take over a discussion. I need 3 minutes at least to find poetry.
I'll tell you what, two things. Robert and Dirk, you have not spoken at all. If you'd like to close us out, not the final, but if you have something you want to share, please do. In the meantime, I'm going to show the video that Hallie prepared for us, and it's in the chat. And then Robert, and then David, I mean, you can share your final poem. And we are convening the January 22nd, 2025 meeting of East Bay Gray Panthers that way. So.
Have I done Villon before? Do you know who Francois Villon was?
Yes.
I've done him before?
No.
Let's see if it's will work in orderly. Go ahead, as you work.
Kelly is her name. Kelly.
Yes. Did I say it wrong?
Yep.
Dave, am I going to show this video now, or do you have...
Go. I don't think this poem is too good for reading.
Excuse me. I do want to say for folks, please save the chat. There's a lot of good links in it to our various partner organizations, allies, and there's the forum about stopping the privatization. I'm looking for Hallie's video link. Shoot, it's not on. So we're all delaying.
Okay, somebody, there's a line in the great Peter Sellers movie, Dr. Strangelove, where the Joint Chiefs of Staff is advising the president who's on the hotline with Khrushchev. And the Joint Chiefs of Staff, Khrushchev has asked a very important question, and the Joint Chiefs of Staff tells the president, stall. And the next thing you hear is Peter Sellers going,
All right.
That's where we're at.
Well,
this has been a really fascinating meeting, and I'm saving
What?
I'll just do one little contribution then. It's from Lorca. Does anyone know who Lorca is? Everybody? Somebody?
Yes.
Federico Garcia Lorca?
Spanish. That's all I know.
I will always be on the side of those who have nothing and who are not even allowed to enjoy their nothing in peace.
Tell me the Peter Sellers and Khrushchev thing again.
No, we had a moment where everybody needed to stall. And Peter Sellers, as the hapless president, he had 4 roles in that movie, is told by the chief of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, he's on the hotline with Khrushchev and the missiles are flying. He tells him stall, and Peter Sellers goes,
Okay. All right.
He's pretty funny. I love him.
That was cute. And Betsy, you were a great convener. I know you were a great convener today. It was
Maybe our role is to allow each of us to be our strongest, passionate self, but just one at a time. That's all I ask. And I cannot find her video, so I'm just gonna let you all. Music festival, there it is. All right, so let's just imagine We Will Survive. That was the song. And yeah, and I'm not seeing the link to the actual song, but just remember that. Look up Hallie Hammer and the Center for Social and Economic Justice Music Festival.
Here it is. I got it.
You got the link? Because I'm on it, but it's not a link to the video.
Yeah, it is. It came right up.
All right, come right up. Just start playing it and then we can adjourn.
Here.
Yep. Keep in touch, everybody.
I'm going to copy this into the chat right here.
You should be able to share yourself as
So
well.
there it is right there. Betsy, you see I just put it in there.
So I was hoping you would just go ahead and share.
Well, it's a video, so I can't share screen.
It's all right. Okay, I'm clicking on it as we speak. There it is. And
at first I was
there we
afraid.
go.
I was petrified.
Keep in touch. See you soon.
Repatriation, or even
We're not seeing it. We're only
but
hearing
after
it.
spending numbing nights thinking of all you could do wrong, I grew strong. So I thought I'd write a song. I wish you'd go to outer space.
There we go.
And fly with Elon Musk. Meet him at the SpaceX base. Wish we had changed deluded minds, so this would never be. But now you're heading for the White House and you're back to bother me. I thought we'd shown you out the door. I hope that we were rid of you and wouldn't see you anymore. You hurt with all the lies you tell and awful things you do. I used to like the color orange. Now it makes me think of you through all your jive. I will survive. Despite the harm you will be doing, I know I'll stay alive. They say that when it's darkest, that's when you see the stars. I wish you had a front row seat for that. By rocketing to Mars, but I'll survive. And we will survive. Looking for my strength not to fall apart.
Yeah.
I try with all my might to mend my broken heart. And if you die in office, we still don't have a chance, then we'll have bans. What a lousy circumstance, but we will not abandon hope. By protesting lawful policies, we know that we can cope. I remember how exhausted we were last time we held office.
Are you seeing the video?
And we must go back to that time, but you are
No, we
back.
can't see the video.
It's not running.
Stand.
It's not running. It's just frozen.
Just sit and
I stand.
democracy.
Well, whoops.
It's
Let's
frozen
go.
at 43
Watch
seconds.
watch it on your own then. Pull it out of the chat. But I'll just bye everybody. As this ends, I'll
All right, Betsy. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
Okay.
when it's
До
over.
свидания.
Do svidanya.
We would
Dos
figure
Vajanya.
to counteract your love.
Oops. Come on, go ahead. Ah! All right. What
Does
happened?
she squiggle out?
I just accidentally paused it and then we lost it in the music. I'm gonna stop share and now I'll start sharing again in a minute. There we go. Let me see if we have 3 videos. All right, I need training, clearly. Take good care. I cannot seem to get it to share properly. There it is.
Or of us of our pride, so we will thrive. Keep hope alive, we will survive.
There's a song that belongs to the Holocaust survivors called Mir seinen Do. It keeps ending with "We're here, we are here."
We're here. I'm glad to be here with you all.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Yep. All right, we will end that.
I swear, in the days we will walk in beautiful. I swear, in the days we will walk in beautiful. Years have passed, and those summer days on the fields of barley. See the children run as the sun goes down, as you lie in fields of gold. You remember me when the west wind moves upon the fields of barley. You can tell the sun in his jealous sky that we won't